Hey guys, welcome to the video. We have a fantastic episode for you today. Perfect episode right before Italian American Heritage Month. We get into a lot of real talk about Columbus Day and Heritage Month. I have the president of the JCCIA at the warehouse. But guys, before getting into the video, I want to tell you two things. One, our bocce ball tournament is coming this October 7th in Stone Park, Illinois. There's a limited amount of teams available and left. Sign up your team before today. Put the link in our bio. And guys, also, we have a brand new collection dropping for Heritage Month on the website. Tons of Italian merch, new flags, new hoodies, new shirts. It's going to be awesome. Limited stock in that as well. Be sure to check it out and shop. But for now, let's get into the video. Andiamo. Today's guest, Ron Onesti, is the president of the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame. We have a bocce ball tournament coming up on October 7th. Ron is also the president of the Joint Civic Committee of Italian Americans and is on the board of other Italian organizations as well. Ron also owns the Onesti Entertainment Corporation, which has over 100 employees, multiple theaters, and hosts a Taylor Street Italian Fest in the city. And they work with tons of Italian and Italian American musicians and artists. Ron's also a writer, a radio personality, and hosted a PBS special that won 3 Emmys. Ron, it's an honor to have you here.
Curing Cancer will be next, and an Oscar award I think is Tuesday. So
yeah, well, that's I had to write it down because there's so much you do and so much you're involved with. Honestly, I look up to you. You do a ton of stuff.
That's very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
First question I have, just out of curiosity, where did it all start? You getting into so many things. What's the background story?
It was kind of evolution, Mike. I mean, I didn't set out to do it. It started out, ironically, we know each other so well from so many things. But one of the things is Taylor Street Festival, and it started out when I was, about 16, 17, when Mayor Jane Byrne, for some of you people, maybe your dad may remember, he's old enough, was mayor of the city of Chicago. And she came out with all these festivals, these neighborhood festivals. And one week it was the Polish Festival at Reese Park. It had Bobby Vinton there. You wouldn't know who that is either, but it was a big deal. And I went to this thing wow, look at all this, because I had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit from the beginning. And I said, I want to get in this one and in this kind of a thing. And the next week was the Italian Festival at Reese Park in Chicago. Tony Bennett was going to be there. And this is before all the festivals. This is before health departments and tents and booths and restaurant equipment, stainless steel and all that stuff. So I got into it because the Joint Civic Committee of Italian Americans was the organization to organize this festival. So my aunt happened to know the secretary from there. This is how it all just happened. Got me in there. I sold frozen bananas. I had a crock pot on a TV dinner table and dipped bananas and sold it. I had bushels of cash. I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life until the next one the following week. And I put all this money into it, everything I had at 16, 17 years old. And it rained 4 days. And I still have bananas if you want any since then. But, from there, I just got involved in my heritage more and more. I joined the organization, and it really, made me realize, you don't, especially when you're another generation. My parents were World War II people, and my dad a World War II hero. So, and I'm originally from Taylor and Western. I went to Our Lady of the Angels, the one who had the fire in 1958, a big Italian American community. So we actually moved from literally Italian neighborhood to Italian neighborhood. So when you say, are you an Elmwood Park guy? Are you a Chicago guy? Are you a Taylor Street guy? I'm all that. Yeah. I was fortunate because, again, I'm born on Taylor Street till I was about 10 years old, but I kept going back there to this day. Then went to Chicago Avenue, which is Our Lady of the Angels. Then went to Elmwood Park, then Melrose Park, and just all these different things. So being a part of these various communities really helped me understand that there was a community, and I just got into it.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. I didn't realize it went all the way back to the organizations and the Italian community. That's awesome.
I was actually president of the Young Adults Division, which now is our Avanti group. But I was a president of that for 10 years. I started when I was 17. And just stuck with it and really got into it. Matter of fact, I met my wife in the Columbus Day Parade. It's storybook. Yeah. We got married on Columbus Day, because we met and our first date was the parade, that kind of thing. So it was cool because when people are saying, you're getting married on a Monday? I said, it's Columbus Day. Mm-hmm. So we actually, I had a float ordered like a cake, like a wedding cake. and all three tiers, our bridesmaids and groomsmen stood on the different tiers. We were on top, so we got married at church. Then we jumped in a couple, all our family and friends jumped into a one of those trolleys, those San Francisco trolleys.
Yeah.
We went right to the parade. The float was there waiting for us. We jumped on there and we just went down, and we were all over the world, literally Germany, Paris, all over Italy, because UPI, UPS, whatever it is, AP, UPI picked it all up, and we were all over the place. And it was really incredible because we actually got married in the parade, and we got married in church, but then had the reception in the parade, and it was all cool. Except if you're old enough to remember what Tony and Tina's wedding was a play at the time that was a musical. There was a couple of goofy people who acted like Tony and Tina. It was like a goofy thing, and people thought we were in this play. No, we really got married today on Columbus Day. So Columbus Day and the organizations have been very, very special to me for a lot of years.
That's awesome. So safe to say you're a hardcore Italian.
I am hardcore Italian. I love you guys, what you guys do, what you've come to stand for, and you've filled, if I can go off script here for a second, you filled a need that we really needed in our community. You know, you guys are a needle and thread, taking various parts of the communities and bringing them together. You've made this a lifestyle, not a T-shirt company. Yeah. You know, you're involved. You're always involved. You're always excited. Your dad and Pete and everybody, your whole organization are like little kids, getting so excited about these things. You know, and it's nice to work with you guys. But you're at a point where you're just reaching out into the community and getting involved, and that's what people need to do. You guys get it. Yeah. You know, we have a lot of companies they try to sell to the Italian community, and they do that, especially food, you know, culinary. They do that, but they come to you and they say, here's our list of products. If you want to buy from us, and that's it. You don't hear from them. You guys are there, and we'll talk about, I'm sure, some of the different events, but I congratulate you guys for really understanding what it takes. Selling is almost secondary to you guys. Yeah. It's being a big part of the community first. The selling comes along with it. You understand it, and that's why you're successful. And I'm really proud of you guys, honest to God.
Wow. Thanks so much. That means a lot. And yeah, for us, the values, like the way we were raised, our grandparents and parents, they were so generous and always giving, and that's how we want to be. And we know to keep the community going, you have to work with other people and be involved. So I appreciate you recognizing that, because we try a lot to do that. That's something we try to do, is like talk to all the organizations and do events together, like we're doing with the bocce ball tournament, and I think that's really important. So that's awesome. You said that. I appreciate
100%.
it.
You guys get it, because more and more you got to do that. You know, it's nothing is easy. Nothing's ever been easy, but now it's such a weird world, and we don't have to spend any time on why it's weird. We all know what's going on, but we've come so close to losing what our parents and grandparents built up. And they were so comfortable or so secure in their culture and their heritage. And then almost with a snap of fingers, we lost everything. I mean, statues coming down, all that kind of stuff. It's like, wait a second. Mm-hmm. So now that's why we're fighting so hard. And we're scraping from the bottom a little bit with this, because we haven't fought that hard. Yeah. It didn't need to. We knew who we were.
Yeah. And that's why we feel, as I'm sure you do as we were talking, that Italian Heritage Month is so important, because we need to recognize, we feel like our grandparents came to this country, sacrificed everything, and the only thing they cared about passing on was their traditions, their values, their culture. And that was it. They didn't care to be millionaires. They didn't care to be famous. They worked hard. My grandfather worked in a factory his whole life, and, you know, he was a happy guy. Every day I've known him. Like, that's what they cared about passing on, and I feel like it's important to, you know, recognize everything. And that's why when they take the statues down and we really don't get any recognition for our Heritage Month, and it's sad to see, because it's almost like what they dedicated their lives for could be forgotten. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Heritage Month and Columbus Day and all this stuff to help continue the traditions.
Well, you know, Italian American Heritage Month is something that we've been, actually, it was an official month, 1989 it became that federally. But again, you know, we didn't have the promotion. We didn't have the marketing behind it. We had it. It was cool. Not a big deal, and we didn't do a whole lot. We had October because it's Columbus Day, and basically October was Italian Heritage Month to the degree that of Columbus Day weekend. That was really it. But as we got to be more and more involved in our communities and other communities that have their heritage months, especially when Indigenous people and that whole issue came up, and they wanted it to be, even though their month is actually November. And they have 3 holidays already. But again, the battle against the Columbus issue, people just don't get the fact that it's not about Columbus the man. It's about what Columbus has come to represent. It represents those people that fought for the flag, the people that fought to come here, that fought for their families to be successful and get a better life for their families. So there's so much more we can go deep into that. But the last couple of years, we've been really pushing Heritage Month. And this year is going to be like none other. We're very, very excited about it. I mean, one of the things we've tried to do is get other cultures involved. We're doing a reception with Polish and Latin American, the Puerto Rican community all together, the 3 of us, 3 communities, because we share October. It's Polish Heritage Month. September 15th to October 15th, Latin History Month. And Heritage Month. So we're doing a reception for that. We're also doing something with the Simon Wiesenthal Center for Jewish Studies. And, a lot of people don't realize, everybody knows about the Holocaust, know how terrible it was for the Jews, but many people don't realize just how many Jews were saved by Italians. Fake papers, they shipped them out. I mean, that whole Mussolini thing, again, a topic for another day. Historically, people don't understand that whole situation. And I can just touch on it for a second. You talk about Mussolini. I grew up in a very, very interesting situation, a true dichotomy, because my mom, born in Florence, Italy, right in the center of when Mussolini came to power. And people have to understand what a sludge world that Italy was at the turn of the 19th century and 18th and 19th century. And it was Mussolini that brought it back. And so my mother grew up with a whole Mussolini was a hero thing. She lived it. My dad, World War II hero, was fighting against Mussolini. And they would have battles at the kitchen table. And it was really interesting to see. My dad was born in Chicago on Taylor Street, but from Campania, saying, how could you be for that guy? He killed all our boys, and I lived that. And she goes, well, I lived when he saved Italy. And it was a very interesting situation. But we're doing something about that with them. We're doing, it's the 100th anniversary or the 100th birthday of Rocky Marciano. So Sports Hall of Fame is doing a thing. We're going to be screening the 1979 movie Marciano, and the star of it, Tony LoBianco, was a big movie star and TV star, especially at that time, will be coming in, hosting the screening. We're also going to show the statue that Muhammad Ali inducted into our Hall of Fame of Rocky Marciano, and we actually have his belt, his 1952 championship belt. It's not as cool as this one, however, it's still. I mean, we've been offered millions for this belt because it's such a and he's the only heavyweight champion to be 49-0 undefeated. So that's another event. I mean, it goes on and on and on. If you go to JCCIA.com, our website, you can see all the different events. And there's so many of them. We're so proud of them because they're real. We also have, it's the 100th anniversary of the Italian Air Force. And so we actually have, from Washington, D.C. and from Italy, a general from the Air Force, a captain and a major coming in. We also have, with them, we have a 36-panel exhibit on the history of Italian Air Force, and we're going to have it at O'Hare Airport for a month. We've got an artist, Silvio Berlusconi, who is the Berlusconi presidential era of Italy, but his niece Luna is bringing her. She's an artist and bringing some of her artifacts, her art projects. During Columbus Day weekend, which we'll talk about, I guess, the whole weekend in a minute. But like I said, we don't have a amount of time to go over all the different events that we have. We're just so excited about. Even Channel 11's jumped on board, where they've got several programs, including the Italian Americans, which is a 4-part series.
Yeah,
amazing.
That series is awesome.
Oh my gosh!
If you're Italian American, you have to watch it. I feel like.
Well, you know what? I was really blessed because my dad's in it. It is. My dad's in both of them. What happened was there's a film. If you haven't seen this one, it's called 5,000 Miles from Home. It was produced here in Chicago. It's about all the World War II soldiers that were from Chicago. It's very special. It's produced by the Franois, Paul and Tony Fernelli at the time, and it's an amazing documentary about Chicago and World War II. And then so we had, I got my dad in that, and his story was really cool because again, it was like, how did you feel? I mean, don't forget, he's Italian. He's basically in his hometown area fighting Italians, killing Italians. Yeah. And they asked him, like, you're Italian. How could you possibly do that? And his response was just priceless. He goes, yes, of course I'm Italian. Of course it was very difficult going to my hometown and that area and fighting people that I practically knew, people of my same blood. But I'm an American, and again, I'm fighting for the flag. Yeah. And those are the guys that, those kind of stories, you hear those stories, and then you see people trampling the flag or taking down statues and stuff. And people who do that have no idea what they're doing and how they're offending and how they're slapping the face of those kind of guys. Yeah. So,
why do you think Italians, when they immigrated to America, they wanted to embrace the American side so much?
Well, everybody has their values. Everybody has their core, their focus, varying degrees of culture. A core focus for us Italians, and as for many others, of course, is family, and food, and camaraderie, and the essence of coming together. Just like when you go to Italy even today, it's a major world power. It's fifth in world economy. It's all this stuff going on. Still, at 1:00, the city shuts down. The country shuts down. They have their siesta thing. The cages come down, all the retail stores. They still slam the brakes on their worlds, and they go home. And they have a meal together, and they nap, or they talk, and they walk each other. They're not driving everywhere. Maybe they take a Vespa, but they really understand, and they put family first, and they put relationships first, and experiences first, and I think they brought that with them to America. And as I touched on earlier, as recent as in 1940s, Italy wasn't what it is now. It got to be cooler towards the 1940s, late 30s. But prior to late 1930s, it wasn't the place that you're thinking, not at all. It's just amazing when you think about the Roman civilization that started back then. And we started, to this day, we use their system of plumbing and roads and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't. So they worked so hard for so little money. And, then, they thought they got handbills and posters and letters. Don't forget, TV wasn't around then either. Mm-hmm. So, America was the promised land. And that's why they came here. And they worked so hard to get here. And you think about it, even when you go on a trip, you go to Mexico, you know the language, like, oh man, how do you say bathroom? How do you, these people decided they had no command of the language, had no money, had no job, had no future secured, but still they had the fire in their heart to do something. And that took so much courage. They weren't coming on vacation. They were moving here with no place to go. Yeah. Maybe an uncle that sponsored them, but most of the time they didn't. They just said they sponsored them, but after they got over there, they paid them their $500 or $50, or it was at the time, and or 50 lira at the time, and then they left them. Mm-hmm. So I just think they embraced our culture because of the promise that America represents. Mm-hmm. And the freedom that they represent. And don't forget, again, we can go back and forth. Was Mussolini's reign good, bad, and different, this and that? The other side of it was a dictatorship. Now, dictatorship worked well for them at the time. You got to keep in mind, putting everything, just like we put, Columbus, what was it like in 1492 versus now? Same thing there. You have to put it all in perspective. And, it came out of a dictatorship. It was, democracy. What is that? It sounds great. And so that's why they came here, and that's why they stayed here.
And so I feel like a lot of these philosophies, like the values that Italians have, kind of is a philosophy with the businesses you run, like the theaters, how like you're hospitable to all the people, and you said you value relationships and family. because you run so many different things: the fest, the venues.
Don't even try. Don't even.
Exactly, just the organization.
We have 7 restaurants, a hotel, the 2 theaters, and all the festivals, and then plus all this Italian stuff. It's crazy.
Exactly. So I feel like you apply kind of that. It's successful because you apply the hospitality and all that with it, right? Did you have a business philosophy that kind of helped you with all these different restaurants and businesses and what you do with the organizations and all this?
You know what? I can give you some big business philosophical charts and graph answer to that.
Yeah.
It's 2 things: be nice and be organized.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, so many people are not nice, and not as much like they're not nice people. It's just so hard. It's so difficult to do things these days, even just any from a permit acquisition standpoint, or a real estate acquisition standpoint, or just the scratching to the top of competition in business. All that stuff has tainted people so much, and I'm fortunate. I'm 61 years old. I'm at a good place in my life where like things are going pretty decent. And you know what? I just love people so much and love the relationships. I mean, for me, it's all about the right now. I mean, there was a time. I mean, we all go through that. Like you're scraping, you're scrapping and trying to get to the top and try to survive. And we've been through stuff. We've all been through that, hanging on by our fingernails point. Like, man, oh man, rent's due when? Tomorrow, or I got to come up with this, and I got the money, and he was supposed to pay me, he didn't pay me, but I need him to pay Paul, and all that. We've all been through it, and that's really hard. But now, I think COVID affected me positively. I could say that. It was beyond. I mean, everybody got hurt, of course, but I mean, selfishly speaking, in my world, I mean, we all know how it affected the food service industry, which I'm knee deep in. We know nobody went out anywhere. Nobody sponsored anything. Nobody bought a ticket to anything. I mean, just the entertainers weren't coming. I mean, it was zero. I mean, it went to zero, like almost everybody did, And we didn't get any help. We didn't get any nothing. It was like, what the heck's going on? So now, as we're coming back. Again, that whole thing is you go back to, life is all about really, it's about walking down the Hallmark freaking aisle at Walgreens now. I mean, think about all those cheesy cards, all those, all those things that they say, all of those kitschy cliches. But you know what? You start reading that stuff. I mean, dance like nobody's watching, live each day like it's your last. All those kitschy things, they become real here. I mean, you really think about it, all that stuff. Love this like you never had before, and share the time. All these goofy Hallmark things. It's like, you know what? You got to look at that stuff. It's like it was almost a prophecy. So not to get too deep in it, but it hit me hard. I mean, I lost my parents. So like we all have that tragedy. I was extremely close with them, especially my dad, of course, my best friend, and losing them, and then going to COVID and losing that, you lose everything, and like everybody has, some people didn't come out of it. Some people came out of it freaking wacky a little bit, and you understand it because you're like, some people couldn't handle it. I'm lucky in that it helped me. It really put things in perspective. Like, oh my God, there's the sun's out today. That's all I need. That's when people get all upset. Like, oh my God, I said, here's what's going to happen. Sun's coming up tomorrow. That's all you got to worry about. That's all you got to worry. It's going to come, no matter how rainy it is today, it's coming up tomorrow. I promise you. And those kind of philosophies, freaking, I love everybody. I love everything. I'm lucky to be able to work. I'm lucky to be able to use my whatever creativity. And that's why you look at that's why our stuff is successful. People, you come to my places. It's like no place you ever been. My speakeasies, the theater. You come to Taylor Street, the festival. It's like no other festival.
Yeah, exactly. I know you kind of revitalized the theaters too and took it, like they were thinking about tearing it down.
100%.
And you brought it back to life, and I don't know, just everything you're saying with gratitude and perspective and being nice to people, you apply to business, and that's the values our ancestors gave us, I believe. So I feel like it goes hand in hand. That's why I wanted to ask you a little bit about the business stuff, because I feel like I try to apply what my grandparents taught me to business too, and
the money will come. I mean, really, everyone's so focused on the Benjamins that you got to really focus on Benjamin himself, your friend Benjamin, the guy named Benjamin. Hey Ben, nice to meet you. And I really think and the money will come. I mean, again, I don't be too philosophically deep, but really, that's what's gotten to me anyway, where I'm at now. And I go to my theaters, and before a show, say hello to everybody. I forget, I'm so grateful. You look at, you're in the wearables business, and your competition's fierce. I used to be in it. I know it's fierce. The entertainment. I mean, we're competition. We compete against a pizza and staying home watching a movie. We're competing against that. So when people actually are at the theater and they come in, I'm like, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you coming, spending hard-earned dollars. And, I take it as a responsibility.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I could tell it rubs off. Before you came, I was looking you up on Google, and someone made a whole website about you on Onesti.
Oh, man. That was, I tell you what, I'm like, guys, you need to raise your bar a little bit. I mean,
I was like, oh my God, he's got his own fan club going on.
They had T-shirts made and stuff. Like, what are you talking about, guys? And these are like legit, like people. Like, hi, like I'm very awesome. I'm humbled, but
I feel like too, you make friends with a lot of entertainment that comes to your venues too.
Yes, relationship. Just like your business, and mine's 110% relationship based, and that's how we get. People say you got these theaters, but how do you get all these stars? Because you think about it, if you understand anything about the business, you don't just get the stars. You don't just get the bands. There's radius clauses. If I get them, that means the people around me, the Rialto or the one in Waukegan up there. All these different theaters, they can't. We have rules in our business. It's called radius clauses. So if somebody is playing, because it protects us. If I spend $100,000 on Paul Anka or something, I'm protected against some casino a mile away getting Paul Anka and doing it for nothing, or $30 a ticket versus my $100 a ticket. There's protection in there. So if I have a entertainer, that means nobody else can get them for a certain amount of time. So we do about 600 shows a year with all the different entertainers and venues we have. That's unheard of in our business.
Yeah, and a lot of them are Italians and Italian Americans. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about who you always have come into the theaters for people to check out.
My people say, what is your strategy and philosophy with regards to booking? I have one. It's who I like. It's just kind of, I'm at the age where I represent, what 35 to 65-year-olds really like. That's kind of my niche. I'm not trying to be the Cristal $600 bottle joint, downtown Lakeview or any of that stuff. I mean, I am who I am, and we are who we are. And we found the niche, and I've, like, for example, my favorite film is Bronx Tale. Yeah. I think there's one or two of you guys out there who's, So, and I got to be very friendly. Very close with Chaz Palminteri. And he does, if you know anything about a Bronx Tale, it started out as a one-man play. And Robert De Niro went and saw it in California. Chaz was doing it, and he got involved with it. And matter of fact, that was Robert De Niro's directorial debut was A Bronx Tale. And again, got to be very, very friendly. He's been at my house. I've been at his house. I can go on. That's the whole story there. A wonderful guy. And again, he's reprised his role as, I shouldn't say his roles. He's reprised all 27 characters in A Bronx Tale. He does as a one-man play. It's spectacular. You got to know the movie. Yeah. But it's so, you're just blown away. He just grabs you for that 2 hours. And he plays every single character and every single scene in the movie. Spectacular. That's unbelievable. No, I could talk about an hour. It's spectacular. And then all the comics. Mike Marino, who does, Trump did the Let's Make America Great Again. He's Mike Marino's philosophy is Let's Make America Italian Again. Yeah. So we got him coming back. Frank Spadone, who's a very Baresi kind of a guy. We've got Uncle Louie coming. Those guys.
Yeah, we got them right here.
Yeah, these guys, we love Uncle Louie and Pasqualucci. They're coming. Again, it's people that I like. We've got Vic DiBattista. which I know is taking the internet by storm. Everyone loves this guy. Who else have we got? We got Anthony Rodia's coming. Looks like March. So just all those guys, because this is our community. I'll bring in. I also have Ipu, which is if you're real Italian, it's Pooh. It's a band it's 50 years old. It's classic. It's like the classic rock of Italy, let's call it. And we've got Matteo Bocelli, Andrea Bocelli's son, who's got you would think he's got a good voice, and we got him coming in December. We work with Il Volo. I've been working with those my little brothers since they're 14 years old, bringing them in. We've done so many shows with them. It goes on and on and on because, again, it's part of my heritage and culture. And we know the people. September 29th, we're doing Pasquale Esposito at Casa Italia. If you've ever been to Casa Italia, they have this thing called Holy Hill. It's just a beautiful hill with a cross at the top and the crucifix at the top and just gorgeous. And we do a concert from the top of it. And he's doing his whole salute to Enrico Caruso and outdoors. It's just fabulous. And again, it goes on and on about the different things that we're doing.
Yeah. How do you not go crazy managing all this different
there's a lot
shows and all the events, and how do you do what you do?
You got to stay organized.
Yeah.
Of course. And I'm very old school. I've got all notebooks, handwritten notebooks. You're like, see, let me explain. A notebook is a paper in a, and it's not, everything isn't, because that's how it is today. And God bless you guys. Oh my God. And I'm very much into that too. But, and I tell all my people, because they get a little frazzled, I go to our staff meetings every week. I said, this is what we're doing now. Like, what?
Yeah, well, sometimes you're at the Italian organizations, and I'm thinking in my head, you have a event going on, at the theater too.
I do. I run. Yeah. I jump on stage. I introduce the act in one place. I get into a car. 45 minutes, 50 minutes later, I'm at the other venue doing that. Have the meetings. But like I tell my people, just take everything just one thing at a time. Just do it one thing at a time. Every second you spend worrying about it is 1 second less you have doing it. Same thing with getting mad and stuff. I'm emotional and passionate. I have my moments, but I'm not a big slam my fist on the desk. When we have problems, things get screwed up. People, pardon me, they forget something, whatever it is, and I said, let's just take care of it. I could spend 20 minutes getting, what the hell? Why'd you do that? Why didn't you do this? And when you're done, you still got to fix it. Let's just go directly to the we got to fix it part. Yeah. And it gets done. Yeah. It gets done.
Tell me a little bit more about the JCCIA and everything you got going on over there, and why is that important? Why is the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame? And tell us a little bit more about the work with that.
Sure. Well, as far as the Sports Hall of Fame, I was lucky to be a part of it for the last, 35 years. Got to be very close with the founder and president, George Randazzo. I was editor of Red, White, and Green magazine while we had it at the Hall of Fame. I actually designed the Hall of Fame on Taylor Street. I actually designed all the exhibits. I slept there for 2 weeks because we had Dan Marino was coming May 7th. We had to open by May 7th. Frickin' April 15th or 20th. It was nowhere near to be done.
It's beautiful in there too.
It was, and I screw gunned every jersey everything. I just did all of it, designed all the exhibits, met with the exhibit company in St. Louis every week, flew out there. I was really proud of it. So I was very much involved with it. And then, and George unexpectedly passed away. And so the board of directors asked me to fill his shoes, and as a volunteer, absolutely. So I've been president of that now since he passed, I don't know, about 5 years now already, I think, something like that. And one of the things we did was the building was extremely expensive on Taylor Street, and how everything was and is, and so we had to make a very difficult decision to move off of Taylor Street. I bought a building on Harlem Avenue, another Little Italy area in Chicago, and it's been it's taken about 3.5 years because between the end of COVID and City of Chicago permitting and all this and everything you hear about, supply chain issues, all this has been very challenging. But we just literally got our permits 2 days ago. So we gutted the whole thing, and now we're just ready to get all the exhibits in there. So we're just a few short months away. So my involvement in the Joint Civic Committee of Italian America started, as I mentioned earlier, at a very young age. And by definition, it's the Congress of over 60 Italian organizations in the Chicagoland area. And it was a way. It was began in 1952 as a way for people who were of Italian extraction were not getting treated fairly or needed political representation or again cultural events and activities that many people around the country, especially in the New York area, where a lot of it began in the late 1800s. Thank you. There we go. In the late 1800s, representing the different, the Italians who couldn't fight for themselves, really. They didn't have, again, command for the English language, so they needed help with the consul general. They needed help with passports. They needed help with getting a job. They needed help with getting represented politically. So this organization started then to help them. And for many years, it was going very strong. And like anything, it's cyclical, like any other organization. You got your great years, you got your ups and downs, And for the past few years, it was, I don't want to say down because it wasn't down. It just, we had a level of comfort. Many of those folks that came from Italy, they all came over together. Many groups came over together. They came over on the boat together. They got jobs in the same place together. Yeah. They started their own social organizations, the Mazzini Verdi Club, or some of these other, or the organization from their town, or Padre Pio, under the religious organization. They stayed that way. So many of them didn't even learn the English language to be in here. I mean, barely they did, but their world was they got up in the morning, they went to work as craftsmen or as tradesmen, as carpenters, building cabinets or whatever they were doing with guys or people that they came over with. So the language was there. They'd have lunch together. Language was there. They'd go home, have dinner at home. The language was there. And then for socially, they would be at the social club all together, and the language is there. So their need to learn the English language, their need to acclimate with American culture wasn't as necessary. They still were able to keep the culture, and I think that's why it's so strong today, because they kept their culture. Some other ethnic groups completely became American. They lost a lot of their ethnicity. But after a while, again, as we started at the top of the program here about how you can almost lose it, and we needed, for me personally, what happened was when the statues came down and we had these challenges, I realized, because I was asking questions, I wasn't president of the organization at the time, and I'm like, man, this is terrible. And I realized there wasn't that button to press. You need 1,000 marchers to protest. You needed 500 letters or petitions or signature. There wasn't anything to organize that. So that's how I got more involved, even though I've been involved with the Joint Civic now for almost 40 years. But from a leadership standpoint, that's where I really got involved and realized that we only had about 16, 17 organizations as members at the time. The meetings were, it wasn't really going forward the way we needed it. Yeah. So we created this situation and trying to unify the community and come together. And now we're over 60 organizations strong and getting more and more every week. Our Columbus Day parade, our Columbus Day weekend is going to be spectacular. If I could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, because this year compared to last year is different, right? You're putting more into it.
Yeah, every year it's got to be, and that's, we talk about my business and for me, every year it's got to be growth. It's got to be better than before. And we're always proud of what we do. No matter how proud we are, it's got to be better. Yeah. And, the definitions of better is where you have a little flexibility. But as far as a Columbus Day weekend, just like Italian Heritage Month, we're so proud of its growth. The parade will start off on Friday. We do a beautiful flag raising in Daly Plaza, which is it's the kickoff. And, if you've ever been to Daly Plaza downtown by the Picasso, that there are three really grand flag poles there, and it's the state of Illinois and the county and the United States flag. So we remove, I think it's the county flag just for the day. And then, to the tune of the Italian national anthem, we slowly raise the flag. We have some elected officials there. And we have a delegation from Italy coming. We've got over 60 people coming from Italy. This year, we are honoring the region of Puglia, which is that southern region there of Bari and that area. And we've got, I think, 5 mayors. We've got the governor of the region coming. We have entertainers, an Italian pop star. We've got a tenor from Cinque Terre, which is coming. We've got a 25 person flag throwers that are coming. Those championship flag throwers from Faenza, which is right outside of Bologna. We've got a 16 member orchestra and dance crew from called the Tarantella kind of thing from Puglia. I mean, it's unbelievable. We've got these military people, like I said, the general from the Italian Air Force. So we got a strong delegation coming from Italy. We've got also representatives come from Milan. This year is also the 50th anniversary of the sister city relationship between Chicago and Milan. So a lot of events going on that weekend. So again, we kick it off with, we do a tour of City Hall with some aldermen. Then we do a tour, because many are political figures from Italy. We do a tour from the county building with some Cook County commissioners. And then we go out in Daly Plaza, do the flag raising. Then after that is a grand reception for our Pugliese community that's coming from Italy and the Chicago Pugliese community. It's going to be at Il Pescatore in River Road there, that beautiful restaurant. And then on Saturday, I'm gonna make that last. We're gonna go to Saturday in a minute. Sunday, we have something we've never really done before, and I'm very excited about it. And you guys got to be there. It's called I'm calling it the President's Ball. And when I say presidents, that's S apostrophe, meaning all the presidents of our organization we're inviting and their guests. It's at the Chicago Cultural Center. It's just gorgeous there. It's a black tie optional thing. And it's just very high-end, high-class gala with the people from Italy and the people from Chicago area. And the entertainment is going to be there. We've got a young lady that is honoring her father. Tony Bennett is going to do some songs there. Obviously, we all know we lost Tony a few months ago. And his daughter, Antonia Bennett, who opened for him for the last 15 years, is going to come in, and we're honoring his memory, and she'll do some songs there. So that's on Sunday night, this grand gala. Monday starts at 9 a.m. at the Shrine of Our Lady of Pompeii. We do a beautiful Mass for Columbus Day Mass. And then right after Mass at 10 o'clock, we do a very short procession across the street to Arrigo Park, and we do a wreath laying at the monument of the war veterans, and just to honor our war veterans that we've lost. A very beautiful, solemn military kind of a thing. Then we all hop on the buses and we go to State Street. And this year we're doing, for the first time, we're doing an opening ceremonies right there on State and Wacker, right at noon, and which will be on TV as well. And each float is going to have themes. I mentioned the Tony Bennett theme. We've got Dean Martin. We've got Ellis Island. We've got Italo Balbo, the 90th anniversary of his flight. It goes on and on and on. All messages about our culture. That's what's happening on Monday, and then the parade goes down State Street south to from Wacker to Harrison and Van Buren. It's just going to be a spectacular parade. We're already surpassing our numbers from the past. And then afterwards, we all go to Casa Italia for a reception. It's free food, free wine, music. It's all of us coming together to celebrate the culmination of the weekend. But then we got to talk about Saturday. I'm so excited that you guys are a part of this, along with the Italian American Sports Hall of Fame at Casa Italia. We got the Columbus Classic, the Bocce Ball Tournament, and we're doing a car show there, a Mora contest, a meatball eating contest. I mean, it's just awesome what you guys did it the past few years, I know, and I was been a part of it, proud to be a part of it. We're happy that it's coming to Casa Italia, and food. I'm just so excited. It's such a good time. Starts at 8 a.m. And if you want to, if you're out there, I could do this. You want a team in there? There's a couple slots open, so get a hold of these hardcore guys.
Yeah, you have to sign up soon. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming fast.
Really quick.
And there's limited teams. So, yeah, I know. We're super excited for that, too. It's cool to do something together, too, and to just partner with you guys. We think it's awesome, especially with the Sports Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And with the traditional Italian game. It's just a way to keep culture going again. So it's awesome.
Big deal.
It's funny, as you were talking, I was just thinking of all the Italian stuff that's going on in Chicago. One of my last questions is, I feel like people don't realize there's all this stuff that goes on in Chicago, all these Italians that are here and all the events. A lot of people assume we're New York based or something like that. So can you touch a little bit on Chicago and the history of Italians and talk a little bit about the community here?
Sure. I mean, you talk about New York and New York, a great community. I'm very much involved in the Hoboken, New Jersey community. We talk about Chaz and the Bronx Tale. I mean, the Bronx, Arthur Avenue, one of my favorite places on the planet. So there's a lot of East Coast. We love Boston, love the North End. If you don't love North End of Boston, I don't know what, you must be asleep or something. So that whole East Coast vibe is great. Chicago's Midwestern vibe is a little bit different. And again, it touches a little bit on what I said before about we really haven't been as strong promotionally as we needed to be or need to be. I mean, you talk about anything Italian, I mean, from a grander standpoint, from Italy, everybody wanted to come to New York. Most of the Italian things on TV are in New York. Many of the movies, New York, for many, many decades. And we're really proud here that Chicago's really we've become unified, stronger. And because of that, we're making inroads and waves. I've been to Italy, I don't even know, in the last year, probably 4 or 5 times, I don't even know, just meeting with different governments and letting them know that we're here and creating, as we talked about earlier, relationships, even nationally, going to New York, going to LA, going to different areas around the country that have these Italian-American connections. And we're putting Chicago on the map. And it's really, well, it's exciting because people are seeing like, wait a second, there's a very, very strong community here in Chicago. And, God bless New York, but we're here too. We've been called the second city for a lot of reasons. And you know what? To be second city in the Italian-American community, I mean, by volume of population, we could accept that. But as far as the vibe, as far as passion, as far as innovation, we're being innovative in every aspect of our community. There's no one like Chicago right now. Chicago's at the top of its game and getting even more and more stronger. And people are seeing that, and people are loving it. And they see our passion. When I go out and I meet these people in Italy, they go, my gosh, Chicago, where's Chicago been? We got to come to Chicago. Yeah. So that's why we've got, again, we got a delegation of 64 people coming from Italy this year. And that's who's coming. We're not talking about the ones who are, who know of us and are being a part of it. I met with the mayor of Genoa, for example, where Columbus was born. They've started, because of that, they started this whole, they didn't realize to what degree what was going on with Columbus out here and the lack of education and the knowledge of what he represented, that whole thing. So because of our involvement, we've met with them 3 times now out in Italy, in Genoa. Now they got these all programs about Columbus that they're doing. We've got the New Jersey State Board of Education came up with this whole educational plan, lesson plan, that we're losing our language and we're losing the history in our schools. Well, they've got this whole thing that costs them tens of thousands of dollars to put together. Our relationship with those people in New Jersey is so tight. They're allowing us, and it's on our website now, the Joint Civic Committee, to if you're a teacher, there's over 150 lessons. If you want to teach anything about Italian culture, you want to talk about Da Vinci, you want to talk about this, you want to talk about that, here's the lesson plan for you. Here's all the history, here's all the facts. We're doing that with the language. We've got at Casa Italia and different, I think we have 8 different locations that we teach Italian language to the kids every week. Summer camps. I mean, it's all coming up. It's a groundswell of activity that's putting Chicago back on the map. We're not, there was Italian, it was all about, Italians in Chicago is all about gangsters and mobs and the outfit and stuff. We all have our torrid histories, but we're so much more than that. That stuff doesn't even exist. We're about the best things about our culture, and we're proud that we're going to say we're number one. Anybody who argues with that, prove it to us.
I love it, especially too, like education. I think that's so important.
Very important.
It sounds like these people, the governments in Italy, they're happy to work with Americans, like Italian Americans.
They're honored. And we're like, okay, you're honored. I mean, really, they're so excited because, they're very, almost to an arrogant level of pride. I mean, they're talking about pride. There's nothing better than being Italian if you're in Italy. I mean, they'll give you an hour on that. they're so excited, especially when, we go over there and they see our passion and our love. I mean, if they come in here when you see their love for America and their respect for America, it makes you want to just wrap them in red, white, and blue and give them this, and we give them gifts and flags and this and that.
Yeah.
And we'll do that. We always give them like gift packages to everybody who comes from Italy, because they all have gifts. They do that. That's something that when they come here, they bring gifts. It's something, but it's always something American. The last thing, they don't want Viva Italia shirts. They got that stuff. They don't want flags, Italian flags, because they used to do that.
Yeah.
They would give them stuff, and they'd take them for spaghetti meatball dinners, give them Italian flags and Italian T-shirts. Like, great. It's like, if you went to Italy and got a Chicago shirt, be like, that's nice, but they want American stuff. So, or Italian American. That's the thing. The Italian American flags together is a big deal. They're so proud of that. Yeah. And so that's what's that's what we have to deal with when we go there. They're so excited about being a part of it. And when we are opening these doors for them to walk through, they run through them. They just like, heck yeah, show me the way.
That's awesome. I love it. You're doing things right, because it's something we try to do with our page, like involve Italians from Italy and also other communities and ethnicities.
Absolutely.
I love it. And that's what you're doing with the parade. It's something for everyone. You don't have to be 100% Italian, or you don't have to be Italian.
We have 100 marchers from Palestine. We have Mexican community, Puerto Rican community. We've got obviously the Jewish. We talked about the Shannon Rovers. The Irish people will be there. Philippine community. No, we're very proud of that as well. Even the Indigenous people thing. We're not against anybody. They say they want an Indigenous Peoples Day. We want an Indigenous Peoples Day. We want. They definitely have issues. We don't disagree with any of their issues. About land and all this stuff. Of course, that's what's important to them. We'll march with them. We want them to march in our parade. We want to march with them. We want to celebrate with them. We want to mourn with them about all the stuff that they went through. We want to do it together. There's a faction that just wants to take it's not about giving them a day. It's like replacing ours.
Yeah. Why do you think that is, that they want to replace? It's not like they're saying, let's do an Italian American Heritage Day. Seems like they just wanted to erase.
Well, no, they do say that. They say, why don't you just name it after somebody else? Yeah. Why don't you call it Italian Heritage Day? We could deal with that. And you got to keep in mind, when you say they, it's a faction. It's not all Native Americans, because I talk to a lot of them, and most of them are like, we don't care about Columbus. We've got issues on our reservations, because there's still reservations. There's poverty. There's lack of education. There's homelessness. There's serious issues on their reservations. The guys are like, you think we care about freaking Columbus? They don't say freaking. We say freaking.
Yeah, when I say that I was thinking like government thing or media thing. Like when I mean they, I feel like there's
it's a faction. Else. It's a faction. It's those people that are, the squeaky wheel, right? So it's a 1% of people who just happen to get, the media loves the anti, the fight, that kind of thing. So that's what they cover. But again, if you talk up to many Native Americans, they're not against Italians, but there's a faction that is against. They've latched onto the Columbus thing. We have an issue, and if anybody out there wants one of these issues, get a hold of Hardcore Guys. We'll get it for you. It's called Proud and Positive. We just put out in conjunction, the Joint Civic Committee, in conjunction with the Franoi, put out an issue called Proud and Positive. And what I did with that is myself and Paul Basil is, we needed a tool. I would go out and talk and speak about the Columbus thing or whatever, and I didn't have a leave behind. I didn't have a tool that had all the truths about Columbus. So I put together this 3-pronged kind of issue. It's the truths of Columbus with facts behind it to really understand what it's all about and how it affected who we are today. There's a section on there about how Italy has affected the growth and development of this country. You got to keep in mind, Italy is a country that fits in Arizona, but look how it's affected: fashion, food, cars, science, just how it's affected our culture. People don't realize that. Another section on how we, as a culture or heritage, was we're treated less than how the African Americans were treated. I mean, we've got proof of that. You've got news articles that says that.
Yeah. The biggest lynching in American history was Italians, and
That's right. It happened in 1891. I'm sorry. Yes, 1891, March 17th. It was 11 Sicilian men that were wrongly accused of murder in New Orleans, and 5,000 people lynched these guys. It was terrible. They tore their bodies apart. It was terrible, and they weren't even there. It was just that's a whole other story we could talk about. But this past year was 130th anniversary. And that's how Columbus Day came, because there was going to be literally a war. Italy was ready to come to war after all this that happened. And Benjamin Harrison, the president at the time, was also going to be the 400th anniversary of the Columbus voyage. Decided, let's have a day in honor of you folks and your culture, and let's name it after Columbus because it's the 400th anniversary. And that's how Columbus Day actually started, because of the lynching.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like people should remember every year. It's just our history and our past. We didn't have it easy when we immigrated here. It again goes back to perspective and gratefulness. Our ancestors and all the people who immigrated here really had a tough time to set us up with a better future. And it's just like, and I feel like it's appreciating that. And to me, it's important too to just always remember that on a day-to-day level. So it's good to have a day to celebrate it as a community too.
Absolutely. And people say, we touched on it earlier, like, why don't you just call it something Enrico Fermi Day? Why don't you just call it Italian Heritage Day? And, my response to that is we could do that. So, but first of all, what other ethnic group would allow themselves to be dictated to? We don't like your Martin Luther King Day. We don't like your this day, so you got to change it. Who would say, okay, so that's number one. Number two, okay, let's name it Enrico Fermi Day. And in 3 years, when you don't like Enrico Fermi and you say you got to change it, like, okay, we'll change. Now who should? I mean, it just doesn't work that way. And people, again, need to understand that Columbus has become an icon to us that represents the struggles and the victories that our ancestors have made since turn of the century. And they have to respect that. Just like, you may not like it, and we understand that. But just like, you have to respect our culture and our traditions, just like you expect us to respect your cultures and traditions. That's all. Yeah. And we can disagree, but we should still live together. Yeah. And that's where the problem is, that 1%, they want their way or the highway, or we're going to pull statues down, and we're going to be violent, and we're going to be abusive. And, if we allow those statues to stay down, the message we're giving is that if you don't like something, just use violence, tear it down, and it'll change. That's not how the country is supposed to be run.
Yeah, 100%. I always feel like, too, for Italian American Heritage Month, Netflix or streaming services or big companies, if it's Hispanic Heritage Month or any other ethnic month, like they have a whole collection of nice stuff.
Right.
And with us, it's like the mafia movies are all on there.
Exactly.
But when there's Italian Heritage Month, there's nothing. We feel very underrepresented. So,
well, we just haven't fought for it. That's the only thing I can say. I mean, if I could arrogantly state that we just haven't fought for it. And that's what we're doing now. That's why we've sat down with the leadership over at PBS and Channel 11. We've sat down with ABC TV, our obviously our parades broadcaster, but we say, but what about Heritage Month? Are you going to have some identifiers that say proudly celebrating? We want that. And we're doing it. We've got billboards now. We've got these posters. I should have brought one, but we've got these posters. If anybody wants one, to get a hold of Hardcore Guys. But we probably sent out 20,000 posters to the community that has our new logo of Celebrating Italian Heritage Month. So, we have to, there's things that we can do. We just haven't done them. Yeah. So, we've got these posters, we've got graphics, we've got social media campaigns, billboards. We're doing, we have an Italian restaurant week that we're doing in October too. It's October 20th to 29th, where all these Italian restaurants, cafes, bakeries, delis are all being a part of it. So it's just unifying, being strong, promoting, having marketing strategies, campaigns, guys like you who are out there, social media wise. We need you. We need you guys who are out there, and we haven't had that. So again, God bless Hardcore and you guys and your family for what you've done, not only in the wearables market, but on the social media market. You're out there, and I'm very proud of it, because I've always gotten, everyone gets but it's not just about shirts now. You're doing positive messaging, and we really applaud you for that.
Thank you, and happy to work alongside you guys for whatever you need. I want to thank you too, just for the fight you're doing with Italians in Chicago. It's an honor for you to be here and talk about it and educating people. I feel like you should come back and do more. We could probably talk for like 8 of these. So
I know I can't, unfortunately, but you know, it's something that's a long time coming, and you know, people need to understand there's so many opportunities to get involved. I get that all the time. Ron, you ever need anything? Let me know. I'm letting you know.
Yeah.
Come on, we need. I mean, any level, anything you do, anything you bring to the table, we need that, and that's what we haven't had. You know, we need armies of people who, you know, we really understand. I mean, I'm lucky again in my personal situation. My daughter is going to college. I have one daughter, and so in other words, I've got the time to do this, and a lot of people don't understand that. We don't expect that, but if you give us an hour a month, give us one e-blast a month, give us anything, just be a part. There's so many ways to get involved.
yeah, exactly. So if you're listening, take some action, get involved with Italian organization, come to the Columbus Day Parade, check out our bocce tournament. There's tons of opportunities to get involved and connect. The theaters, check out some Italian artists. Thank you again, Ron. Appreciate you coming on.
Come on, man. You know, huge fan, man. I wear my hardcore shirts very proudly. Very proudly.
Yeah. We're huge fans too, so I appreciate everything you've been doing again, man. Thank you.